moving on from that, big story coming out of one of the huge Portuguese publications today is that Arsenal have submitted, this is 70 million euros, but that's a 58 million pound bid plus add-ons for Victor Gyokeres. It says the striker is expected to receive a signing on bonus of 12 million plus an annual salary of around 7 million a year on a 5-year contract. It says Gyokeres' agent is expected to present all the finer details to the sporting president over the course of the next 24 hours. United have been ruled out by a number of outlets now. No one else is really heavily linked to him. It just seems to be Arsenal. We know there's talk of this sort of debate internally, but the Portuguese press now for a good 5, 6, 7 days are saying personal terms are no problem between the player and the club. Got to finalise the deal. Obviously, they had the big cup final at the weekend. That's now out the way. What is your thoughts on this, Potsy? Is it a deal you just want to see Arsenal get done and over the line now and not let it drag on?
Absolutely, man. This is the number one target for me. Now, I know that Alexander Isak's wanted by many people, and I've gone on about him for what feels like forever, but he's staying at Newcastle now.
Average.
So, for me, it's Gyokeres. And if I'm honest with you, I look at the stats of Gyokeres and they're scary, man. Like, he's an absolute bagsman. I look at the scenario of where people have come from and what they've done, and people sometimes poo-poo it, like the Championship. Oh, he was at Coventry and now he's in a Farmers League. I don't see anybody getting Coventry to the playoff final single-handedly and anybody else scoring over 50 goals and assists 2 years running in the Portuguese league. If there is people that have done that, then please let me know, because I probably want to ask to sign them as well. But I look at what he has been doing, man. It's scary, mate. It's absolutely scary. 52 games, 54 goals, absolutely ridiculous. And then you look last season, to be fair to him, and it was 43 goals in 50 games. Now, this is a bagsman, and he's worth taking a punt on. If it is 70 million euros, and even if it goes up to 70 million pounds, I'd take it. I still think it's a bargain. We paid 65 M's for Havertz, man. So I definitely want to be putting money on this guy. He looks the real deal. I think he would be brilliant. And people sometimes laugh at like the backgrounds, but I've seen some brilliant players come from the Championship, to be honest, particularly in the last couple of years. I think it's a very competitive league, very physically demanding league. And I think it can be a good place to start. When you look at players that have done well in the same position in the last few years, you look at the likes of, Tony and Mitrovic and Eze and Elise, they all come from the Championship and are now playing at top level. So I think that it's quite a silly thing to do, to laugh at it. But then to go and do it in the Portuguese league, to win trophies over there, to be a pivotal point of why you're winning trophies. This guy scores all sorts of goals. His ball carrying stats are better than anyone we've got in our front line. I think all the sorts of goals that he scores, aerially, is pretty good. His link-up play is better than he gets credit for. And he's a killer in the box. So I think that would be the missing piece, or the start of a missing piece, to what is a front line that's been quite underwhelming for Arsenal. So I hope it gets done. I like the rumours. I personally believe that this is a really good signing. And I'm got to be honest, I'll be gutted if he doesn't come to Arsenal now. I don't want Sesko ahead of him. I don't want Ekitike ahead of him. I certainly don't want Liam Delap ahead of him. So for me, if these are the guys we've been linked with now, Chelsea, Arsenal, United, I hope it's us that gets Gyokeres across the line. We're hearing good things about Andrea Berta, that he wants him, and our kind of vision has been moved away target-wise, it looks like anyway, from Sesko now to Gyokeres. I think that's Andrea Berta coming in and saying, no, you don't want Sesko. He's ready in 5 years. This guy's ready now. And that's what's important to me. I don't want a project striker. I want someone who's going to be coming in now and going, boom, there's 20 goals, there's 30 goals. That's what Arsenal need. And when you look at the teams that have won Premier League titles or Champions Leagues, whatever it be, they've always had a bagsman. Whether it's Salah, whether it's Haaland, whether it's Aguero, whether it's Thierry Henry, whether it's Dwight York, Andy Cole, Wayne Rooney, or Van Nistelrooy, they've all had 30-goal-a-season strikers. Arsenal haven't had one for a very long time now. The last time we had a striker that I knew was guaranteeing me goals was Aubameyang. That was in 2022. So we've been nearly 4 years later. We've got to replace him now. And for me, Havertz and Jesus are not it. Gyokeres would be a brilliant signing. And it don't end there, Terry, by the way. It's not just get a striker, Arsenal now ready to win everything. I think there's still missing pieces of the puzzle in midfield, and particularly on the wide areas that we still need to strengthen. But that striker, everyone can see, is the focal point that's needed, man. The prolific number 9 is absolutely needed. And Gyokeres is the guy I want, man. So let's see what happens.
What's your thoughts on it, Phil?
Yeah, I think Gyokeres is with all the kind of, I understand what Potts is saying in regards to people downplaying it. I think more in terms of just, I think it's a far riskier signing compared to Sesko and many other players that come from traditionally better leagues. Up to analysts or up to stats don't even count the stats coming out of Portugal because it is such a poor league. And I understand the argument of, well, everybody else will be doing it. Well, as soon as they begin to hit that peak, usually teams buy those players. Like, Goncalo Ramos is one of the most recent signings from there. We talked about Darwin Núñez. And from that league as well, they're not really producing the level of players that are going to hit those numbers are. And as soon as they are, before they hit their peak, they're often bought, like Vitna and all these other players. So hence why I think Gyokeres stands out. I think it is a valid point to say, okay, let's see how Gyokeres plays against bigger, stronger, far more athletic defenders. How does he cope with midfielders that are going to be on him? How press resistant really is he? How good is that first touch to get him past players? If he is going to be turned up against low blocks, which often teams will be, but playing against Arsenal because you guys are so good in possession, how good is he in those small spaces? I think those are valid questions to ask, and I think the risk is higher in getting a Gyokeres compared to other strikers. I traditionally, just myself, I always give any player 2 years before I make my mind up on him. So if his first year is brilliant, I'm not going to be kind of over the going crazy, I was wrong. Or if his first year he's not doing so well, I'm not going to be sitting here saying I told you so type of thing. I wouldn't be doing that. I usually give strikers 2 years. I just think he's the far riskier. He's the more riskier compared to the other strikers you could be looking at. I think Šeško plays in a better league, for instance. Ekitike plays in a better league. João Pedro plays in the Premier League. So if I were Arsenal, I would have been looking at those players a lot more closer than I would at Gyokeres.
Do you think one of those three takes us across the line though, Phil?
Sesko's
got 13 league goals. Havertz has got 9 and been injured for 4 months. I don't look at Sesko and go wow factor yet. I think 20, maybe in 5 years or 3 years, maybe he might be the guy that everyone's looking at the age of 23. But I think I ain't got really 3 years to wait. The same with João Pedro. As much as I like him, I don't think he's like, wow, Jesus and Havertz, sit down. This guy's getting 30 goals a season. I don't get that yet. And neither with Delap either. So I think with Gyokeres, he's worth the punt on the others for the pure fact that he's been doing it. And I think for me, what makes him even more convinced is the fact that he's doing it in the Europa League, Champions League, and for his country now. If he wasn't doing that, I'd be like, this guy's kind of disappearing when it matters. It's okay beating Braga, but he can't beat like anyone in the Champions League. Scoring a hat-trick against Man City. He's the only player that I've seen dominate Saliba in the game so far. So for me, I think it would be worth the risk.
Isak did that as well.
The thing is, with Gyokeres, as much as I want him as well, right? The main sort of thing that I'm a little bit skeptical about is just how he's gonna transform playing against multiple low blocks, right? Because a lot of the goals that I've watched from this guy, bro, he's in a lot of space, man. That's one thing about him. He's in a lot of space. He's got all the time to just take a man on. Usually it's just one-on-one defending against him. I haven't really seen much of him up against a team that are just going to sit back and whatnot. And I've already told you, Potts, centrally, you've got a problem in terms of your creativity. Saka creates, cool. Martinelli's not a great crosser. You'll probably get a new left winger there. So, this guy's going to need the chances. Not to say that Arsenal don't create chances, but centrally, you don't create the best chances centrally, bro. You know what I'm trying to say? So that's the downside that I would say with Gyokeres, isn't it? It's just, me and Jem go back and forth about this because Jem really wants him as well. It's just I'm a little bit skeptical about the low blocks and whatnot, and especially with Arsenal with the lack of creativity at times. That he might not suit you best. I'll be real, he might not suit you best, man.
I don't know who will suit us best though, Don, because every single striker we talk about is I'm not sure about him. Don't think he's ready. He's not going to suit the style of play.
Osimhen, bro. I think Osimhen will be good for you guys as well. I'll be real, because the way
I like Osimhen, always have, but for some reason,
the type of chances I see Saka creating at times, I'm like, yo, Osimhen would love them. That's why I'm looking at it for me as well. The chances I see Neto creating, even Madueke at times, Osimhen would love these sort of chances. And it's not to say Gyokeres wouldn't. It's just for me in the box, I think Osimhen is the best in the box out of everyone. You know what I mean? But Arteta wouldn't. I don't think he wants that sort of personality. I think those two would just clash massively. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's a hard one. There's always pros and cons with these strikers, as you say, and
yeah.
I think it's an interesting one. Saka has said something, and I really want to get like this is why these signings got to work. Did you see Saka's post on Instagram, Potsy? Where he said, for the viewers that haven't seen it, he says, "We all know the mission. We are working towards achieving things this club hasn't seen in a while, and our time will come." It's him obviously holding the Champions League ball and a picture of himself. And there's been a number of those messages from Arsenal. And I think that's why it's important to get these players in, because Liverpool are moving amazingly well.
Yep.
Verts, Frimpong, Gyokeres look like they're going to happen. We all know Chelsea are going to buy players this year. So it's not going to happen. We haven't even got on to City. They're about to bid for Renders. There's talk they've got an agreement in principle already with João Garcia. They may not even act on it. The link to Livramento. They're linked to, who's the left back they're linked to?
Nouri.
Nouri. Yeah.
Ain't Nouri. They're going to add, and they're surely going to buy. And in midfield today, Cherki and Gibbs White, they're linked to. City are going to. They're going to go. So for me,
100%.
I think it's. I look, whether it's Shesko, whichever one of these guys it is, I think you need to get some of these deals done sooner rather than later until other teams start knocking. I think it's getting a cut of these. You know, it's like with like Cunha. I rate Cunha. I'm so glad we've got it done early, because it just stops somebody else turning his head later on down the line. And I think for me, Gyokeres, I think will be sensational for you. I think this is a man that could score in all comps 30 plus goals for you next season. And I'm not talking about taking goals from Kai Havertz or taking goals from elsewhere. I think this is someone that will score a lot of goals that you are not currently scoring. I think your total number of goals will increase. It won't just be same amount scored, but he's scoring them. I think there'll be additional goals put into the back of the net by someone like him. So I think you've got to look at it, because the one thing I'd be worried about as an Arsenal fan when you see what Saka has said is, how many more years will Saka's and Salibas want to stay if you're not getting over the line and winning these trophies, especially after a season where a number of clubs that don't win have won? I'm not saying Saka's going to leave at the end of next season if you don't do it, but maybe another season or two, and the vultures will be they'll be swarming. They'll be
100%. And we've seen this before, Tel. I've said this about the youth projects that we've been trying before. Fabregas went, Van Persie went, Alexis Sanchez went. We saw about 4 of them go to Man City. This will happen if we don't start winning trophies. Saliba will be in a Real Madrid shirt. Gabriel will leave. Saka will not stay forever if you're not going to win. This is what happens in football. We've seen it with other clubs. So it's about winning now. It's time to deliver. Andrea Berta, I think, has been appointed by the Cronkies to come and get us over the line now with signings. And that's why I'm looking forward to this summer, because I think it will be different than the Edu and Farmis and Raul Sanlehis previously under even Zidas and Emery. I think this is going to be a big window for Arsenal. It has to be. It absolutely has to be. And, we need 4 or 5 big players coming in to take us across the line, because, we're close, but not close enough. I've got to see trophies, man.
I agree. Thoughts on City and their links to Cherki, Gibbs and João Garcia?
For me, I think Arsenal should be going for a Cherki, just to kind of go back to, just to add quickly to Dan's earlier point about who's the striker to get us over the line. I think you need maybe a couple more players, but I think it's a really creative, someone creative, and going to what Don's point is as well, a midfielder. Especially watching that PSG game, I was severely frustrated watching. And I know it's Erdegaard. I feel like I really, yeah. I really rate Erdegaard. I just feel like if he had the more confidence to take more risks, he'll be an exceptional player. But if that's just him, if that's his nature to be cautious of the ball, fine. That he can be a controller. But then you need someone who is a little bit more risky. I feel like he missed the boat there a little bit with Cunha. I think he would have added a lot of personality and creativity in the middle of the park for you. But then I think Cherki would be great. Either Cherki behind whoever your striker is, for instance, and then you've got that unpredictability in what's happening. I think someone like Saka, he might even bring the best out of a Martinelli as well. So I think something like that would suit Arsenal.
I like him. Eze is the one I would like, but I like Cherki.
Yeah, very, very talented player. And again, very good links for City, no doubt, if they add them to their squad.